Welcome to Konoha Crush, a clandestine effort to exhaustively research and document events occurring in and around the village hidden in the leaves. This one is Aster.
It's Mala.
Hi!
Hi!
Hi! Welcome. We're back here on the podcast.
Esther!
Aster! Yeah, hi. She was trying to remember if she's been on the podcast before. She thinks she has, but she maybe wasn't talking like this last time.
Yeah, it doesn't know. But either way, welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Welcome to the podcast.
What has she been up to this week?
Oh, fuck. Right. So yeah, she's been. I mean, like it's been a lot of like X-Men comics and stuff. Like a little bit of like gaming, a little bit of like the usual stuff. But like the only thing that she feels like she really has like to say of like the only thing she feels like she really has to say of like any real substance is like she's been reading a bunch of like X-Men comics. Right. She's been like she made it up through Inferno, which is like the third big like yearly X book crossover from like the like Chris Claremont and like Louise Simonson era of like those two writers heading up those books. And it's like fascinating in the sense of it's like this is the culmination of like a 3 year long effort to like salvage like one of the worst editorial decisions ever. Um
What was the decision?
okay, so basically God, she's trying to figure out how much context to give and like how deep she should go into this, right? But like basically like do
That talk about it all she wants. We're not gonna
okay.
have much to say about Naruto, right?
She's got a ton to say about Naruto. She's gonna fucking break this shit wide open, okay? Don't doubt her. But so like, does it know about like Jean Grey and the Phoenix like at all? At all? I don't. She doesn't really know what it knows about X-Men,
Yeah, it knows vaguely.
right? So like, basically, like fairly early into like Claremont's run in the grand scheme of things, right? Like this is like years of comics beforehand, before the stuff I was like reading this last week. Um, you know, uh, like Jean Grey, who was like one of the founding members of the X-Men, through a series of events, gets like this significant power up, right? Like she becomes like one of the fucking strongest people in the universe. She like nearly dies in like a spaceship crash and then is like reborn as the Phoenix, right? Um, and she's like really, really fucking strong, right? But like basically, there are times when like creative struggles on this book where like like Chris Claremont's intent with this character was like, oh, they wanted to like have like a big like cosmic level like super strong character on the X-Men, and like he wanted it to be like a girl, right? Um, and but like there were like some people on the editorial side and like on the like the writer side, including fucking like one of the villains of comics, John Byrne, who were like who were like starting to feel like, oh, maybe her presence in this book was sort of like getting in the way of other characters' abilities to do things, right? And so like there was this like mandate of like, okay, we need to like strip her powers back and like stop having her like be the center of this book in this way, which like eventually escalated into like, oh, we've decided that she's done too many bad things as like in her like superpower form, so actually she needs to be killed, otherwise it'll send a bad message to children. So.
Mm-hmm.
Jean Grey dies, and this isn't even the editorial call that like she's like specifically talking about here. But basically, years later, Marvel editorial is then like, actually, people really like Jean Grey. What if we brought her back? But we can't like have the baggage of like all of the shit we decided we needed to kill her for earlier. So what if we decided that the like version of the character that was in all of those stories that led to us killing her was actually like a different person, was actually like a weird like cosmic space force that like took over her body and fucking like subverted her will to ever do anything other than be like a nice wife or whatever, right? And so fucking in this crossover between like the Avengers and the Fantastic Four, which are like notably not books that the people writing the X-Men comics are involved with, um she comes back and is like horrified to learn about all of the stuff she did, or like that was done like by this weird space entity like wearing her body or whatever, right? Because she just wanted to be like a
Just a nice young woman.
yeah, exactly, and it fucking sucks, right?
Yeah.
And like Chris Claremont like like, like the thing of like he like basically like almost quit the book over this. Like, I mean, it seems like understandably pretty frustrating when like the shit you were doing gets thrown out like multiple times in ways that you have very little control over, right? Like, it seems like a pretty bad creative environment to be working on.
Yeah. Mel wasn't doing shit.
What?
Oh, it just gave its update for the week.
Okay. But yeah, it's like the Inferno story. Like, I mean, she's not gonna explain the whole thing, but like it basically winds up being this like big culmination of like all of these threads that have been like being laid for like 3 years, and like like this like very like this attempt to like try and like get things back on course to like rewrite the like the like story that had been handed down from editorial to a point where like the last several years of comics could have meant anything again. And like I think it does like pretty admirably in some key ways. I think there's like some real like you can still see some frustration in there. There's still some characters who like were definitely like forced into like a different role than they would otherwise, right? Like there's a character named Madeline Pryor who is like, when she's introduced, she's like a woman who looks like mysteriously identical to Jean Grey that like Scott Summers runs into. And the initial plan was just like, okay, he gets like entangled with this woman, and it turns out she's just like a normal woman. And like Scott has this like long running like like process of like untangling his feelings about this person he used to love and like this new person that he's like coming to care about, but like worries like he's just caring about because like she's so similar to like somebody he used to care about, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's this whole thing. Like eventually he like like he gets together with her, and like he leaves the team, and like for Chris Claremont, like he was like, yeah, this is like a natural like progression of the character. Eventually like he gets to like move on and like leave the life of being in the X-Men because it's bad for him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so he like goes off, like he gets married, has a kid, and then like a couple months later is when the initial like Jean Grey is back retcon happens, and like a different writer like instantly has him leave his wife. So yeah, there was a lot of shit to clean up, right? And like in the end of all this, like Madeline Pryor no longer gets to be like a normal woman. Now she's like a clone created by an evil guy, right? For like evil purposes. But there's like this real attempt to like, I don't know, like fight for the ability of like these characters to have any like contiguous sense of history, and like to like be connected to like the past that had been like established by these writers that clearly cared a lot. That I thought was like genuinely kind of admirable. I don't know. She worries she's not really explaining this very well, but
that is okay. It was nice. It liked hearing her talk about it. Yeah, and like it was saying earlier, Mel didn't do shit.
She could talk more about X-Men comics, but like maybe she should stop and move on to letting us talk about Naruto, like we're supposed to do on this podcast. This isn't an X-Men podcast at all. It could be, but it isn't.
Yeah, the new anime season is starting, right? So like,
oh yeah.
But so there are some new shows that it saw, but like it's gonna take a couple weeks to like have anything to say about those.
Yeah, she's watching a few things also. She hasn't actually like picked up anything on her own yet, but like with a friend, she's been like watching some shows, and we'll probably like maybe next week have some things to say alongside our movie episode that we're doing, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But before that, let's talk about some bad fucking episodes of Naruto.
Yeah, okay. Let's go.
Let's go. She's actually really excited.
Yeah. Episode 145. A new formation. Ino Shika Cho. Shikamaru sends Naruto ahead to fight Mizuki, while his team handles the Tummy Boys. Mizuki and Haruka are still doing their thing, and Ino takes over the elder Tummy Boy. Mizuki doesn't understand why nobody respected him back at the Leaf while he remembers strangling an injured comrade to death on a mission, and then was not allowed to become a teacher because of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So Shikamaru and Ino and Choji show up and like basically instantly prove correct all of the worries that were expressed at the end of the previous episode of this podcast about how maybe these are characters that traditionally the show has had a hard time figuring out what to do with to make them have compelling fights. Because
This is 3 episodes of a bunch of children holding 2 large men still.
Right, right. Again, the stakes of their fight immediately start with, okay, we need to immobilize these two guys who have mostly just been standing in the same place before this.
Oh.
Like, now she guesses they're mad because, they stepped on their food and now they're pissed off and want to kill, but, like, it's still...
They could have at least played with things a little bit. Like, what if Choji just had snacks and they just gave them the snacks and then they were just kind of like hanging out talking about what was happening?
That would have been better, maybe. Maybe. It would have been bad in different ways, at least.
It would have been bad in different ways, but it would have been something besides stretching out. Oh wow, these kids sure are holding these large men still for 3 episodes.
Right. Oh my god. Right, and it's just like, oh my god, like the progression of their like fight through this episode is so like, yeah. So I mean, Shikamaru got them with the shadows at the end of the previous episode, right?
Yeah.
And like, Paku's like, oh shit, watch out, these guys are have greater physical strength than the legendary Sanin, which like, I mean, when I first saw this line, it was like, I feel like we should let Tsunade have anything and not just immediately try to undercut her by the fucking tummy boys or whatever. But like later on in these episodes, we learned that Tsunade is like very much directly stronger than them. Not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but like, so maybe Paku is just like averaging out the like physical might of the three Sanin and then just being like, yeah, their strength stat is higher than that.
Maybe Paku meant combined.
Maybe?
Like, if you just directly add them together in a way that doesn't actually mean anything.
Yeah, regardless, like, he's doing some kind of math to come to this conclusion that doesn't add up, but, like, it's a real attempt to try and make this seem like a bigger deal, right? But yeah, like, so, in this half of the episode, like, what they do is, like, yeah, like, uses mind possession to, mind possession, what is, mind transfer? Goddamn.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, on like, one of them. And Choji's about to like step in, and Shikamaru's like, no, don't do it, they're so strong, you're gonna get yourself in danger, and he just like walks up and like starts hugging one of them, and just sort of stands there for half of the episode. And that's basically like, that's basically all that happens with him in this entire half of the episode, right?
Yep.
Because we get a little more next time, but it turns out that basically, in spite of this episode being called like the new formation Inoshika Cho, it's actually mostly about Irika and Mizuki yelling at each other some more. Mizuki is showing off all of his like various tricks that he learned in jail. He's doing his like cool genjutsus. He's doing his like, he has like a puppet now.
Yeah, he has like a bad puppet.
He has like a bad puppet that gets kicked once and instantly falls to pieces.
Bad puppet.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess, like, I don't know, they probably don't have, like, the highest quality of, like, puppets in, like, jail to train with.
Our puppets are way stronger than that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It does sort of raise the question of, like, what... like, okay, if he's, like, doing, like, push-ups and shit constantly in jail and getting huge, that's, like, okay, sure. But, like, I feel like... not to, like... she wants to be very clear, right? This isn't making an argument for, like, how to, like, manage prisoners effectively as, like, a thing that is worth doing in any real context. But I feel like if you have a guy in the evil lava prison, you should be able to tell if he's, like, practicing puppets or genjutsu, based on either other prisoners looking like they're in genjutsu or like guards or whatever getting genjutsu'd, or like him having a puppet.
Yeah.
I'd like maybe, again, if you're going to be the like fucking super ninja CIA and have an evil lava prison, like you might as well take the extra step of like trying to stop him from doing that. Like I guess he didn't really get any good at it at all, right? Like, it's pretty entry-level skills on both of those things. Like, Eureka thinks he's, like, sinking into the ground a little bit, and again, he kicks the puppet once and it falls apart. So, not a great showing.
Not fantastic, no.
But, like, Eureka thinks this is really cool, right? Yurika's like, "Whoa, you've become so strong. The timing of your jutsu is so good. There needs to be some attempt to like sell us on this being a big deal." But they like stop fighting for like most of the rest of half the episode as they like Mizuki moves them over to like a big building, and starts talking about like for further like expressing his like grievances against the Leaf, which like in this part of the episode like it really feels like I mean he's mad that they didn't specifically think he was better than everybody else. It's weird, right? Because she feels like there's such a like clear history of like here's the way characters feel like isolated or like used by like the Leaf that to draw from, right? But like Mizuki's not really like connecting. They're not bothering to connect him to any of that, right? Like there's no like they don't show us anything like sympathetic about him in his past, and in fact like explicitly underline him as like a weird sicko freak every chance they get.
It loves that. It loves that for him though.
She guesses she loves that for him too, except it doesn't like do anything for the story really. Like it's
no, it's just so fucking funny.
It's just so fucking funny when he's like going out on like a fucking mission and he's like sees one of his teammates get like stabbed in the leg a little bit. He's like, oh shit, I have to like suffocate him to death right now. Speaking to his other teammate, he's like, oh yeah, sorry, our friend, yeah, he instantly died from his leg wounds. You should leave.
Like, it's not even a good tactical decision.
No!
Right?
Because he's like separating himself from his friend and like standing there for long enough to strangle his friend to death while they were like in a place where knives were being thrown at him.
Like, okay, like it gets if you're not gonna be the guy that's like, oh, like, oh my teammate's injured, I'm gonna like carry him on my back, right? Like it gets it if he's just like, oh no, that guy is dead weight now, we should leave him. But like the fact that he stands back there.
Yeah.
Just fucking choking him.
It's unbelievable. What's wrong with him?
And then he gets home. And they're like, yeah, I don't know if we should let that guy be a teacher. He chokes that guy.
Right. But also, like, she's pretty sure they let him be a teacher eventually anyway. They just, like, wait a little bit beforehand. Because he's, like, working at the academy in that first episode.
It guesses he is. Oh, no. The show is so good.
He, like, got a job, like, a couple of months later than Erika or whatever, right? And, like, fucking... I mean, I guess we can't say that made him a sicko because by age fucking 10, he was like, I can't believe nobody wants me to, like, be happy about how sad this other kid is. But, like...
Right. His grievance isn't that he didn't get to be what he wanted, right? His grievance was that they didn't reward him for strangling that man.
Yeah. I think he talks about like, oh yeah, I fucking hardened my heart. I did terrible things for the village or whatever. But like,
he would have been fine. Like repeatedly, they talk about how the man like suffered a minor injury to the leg.
And like there's like a few times in this arc where they kind of try to gesture at this idea of like, oh, Mizuki feels like he was just kind of like used up and discarded, but like. We don't get enough to like underline that because instead every time we flash back to him it's like shit like this and like it's shit like I mean again for all of the like clear issues that the Leaf presents like they're at least consistent in the like hey you shouldn't leave a guy behind or like strangle him for no reason right like every fucking tutoring exams there's like a question about like hey should you kill your teammates instantly or not and if you say you should kill your teammates instantly you immediately fail
right what if Mizuki was the guy that was like pretty cool and like had like a real like passion for teaching and like wanted to be a teacher?
Mm-hmm.
but he was just also like a little bit too good at field work in order for him to ever get that role, and so they just fucking like worked him to the bone doing ninja killings and stuff, and he got fed
Mm-hmm.
up with it, right? Like,
Right. Like, what if they did anything to like underscore his role in this story in a way that like connected to the like character stuff they're trying to do with him instead of just making him like a fucking terrible sicko.
mm-hmm.
I also love that the only part of the like ninja school teacher like examination we see is going into a dark room and having knives thrown at you.
So good, so good, so good, so good, so good. The show is so good.
Show is really incredible. Is there anything else that it wants to say about this half of the episode?
No. Is she ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Team 10 are doing their thing with the guys. Mizuki takes Iruka into a dark room and they knife fight more. Naruto finally makes it to the dark room with Mizuki's ex following behind him, only to find Mizuki rigged the dark room to explode. Pew.
Alright, that was the whole summary.
Yeah.
She was like pacing around a little bit. So yeah, I got time to like pace while you're like, reading the summary and get your thoughts in order, but nothing fucking happens here. This is basically the same shit that happened in the first half of the episode, right? Like the fucking full extent of progression with the Team 10 shit is like,
Yeah.
like, his fucking mind control goes like bad when fucking one of the Tubby Boys punches the other one, right? And she gets immediately like expelled. She's like, oh shit, okay, I have to use like mind destruction instead. And like, okay, so
It doesn't think she should be able to do that yet.
it definitely seems like I mean, she got like it is like a little bit of a leap in terms of like what she was like capable of previously, right? But she guesses also like Shikamaru was doing the fucking like shadow strangulation that like his dad was doing back in the like fucking big battle in the leaf, and like Choji's becoming big, right? So like maybe Ino should get like her dad's technique too, right? Like to keep like some degree of parity on there.
Mm.
The specific thing here is like, so she understands like, generally speaking, like, yeah, sure, it makes sense to not immediately like do your like strongest and best technique every time. Like it makes sense if like your Shikamaru would be like, yeah, I've got my teammates here. I'm gonna just use the like lower intensity like shadow paralysis, right? Because like like I don't have to take on these guys alone, right? But for like the difference between like mind transfer and like mind destruction,
It's huge.
it's huge, right? Like again, like one of them puts you extremely at risk, and the other, like at least in a battle situation, does like. I mean, yeah, like we've talked about this before, right? How like mind transfer is like, yeah, if you miss, you're like immobilized for several minutes, and like you keep, like the person you're like that can't get hurt, or else like immediately breaks, and like you also get hurt in your body, and like all of that shit. And and mind destruction is just like, oh, the guy like starts attacking his friend, and you just get to like stand there and like keep existing in your own body. And so like obviously, like in terms of like ninja work, there are situations where like mind transfer is like more preferable, right? Like if you want to like possess a guy and like have him go get information for you or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
But if it's like two big beefy dudes standing next to each other, like she just feels like maybe you should start there because
yeah,
it does what you want at no additional risk, right? Like you're like, this isn't like a situation like, oh, I would be putting myself at risk if I like use my big attack first. It's like, no, your small attack is actually just the only one that can face like a risk to you like this. I don't know, just like kind of like awkward construction to this fight, right? And like fight is giving it a lot of credit, right?
yeah.
The other thing that's like fascinating about this is like when has like mind transfer to like the one guy, right? Like the other guy is like immediately able to just like move his arms and like fucking like punch him and shit, which like presumably he like shouldn't be able to do if Shikamaru has him like held still. So like, but like there's this like thanks is like maybe these guys are just like kind of forgetting they don't have to just be standing here. They could just like walk forward if they wanted to. Just I don't know. Maybe that's like a little bit of like a nitpicky thing to say, but
yeah, like whatever.
Whatever. Anyway, fucking Choji decides at the end of this section that he's like tired of fucking Shikamaru and Ino doing all of the like making guys stand still, so he's gonna make his arms really big and put his hands around each of them and also hold them still.
Yep.
That's what that team does in this episode. Is that they're all making the guy stand still.
Yep.
She just thinks that if you're going to make a fight in like an action anime, right? Like the thing that should be happening on screen when the protagonists succeed shouldn't be nothing.
Yeah. You shouldn't be drawn. You shouldn't have a fight in like an action anime where like the ideal is it being like an unanimated JPEG.
Right. Yeah. But like that's the whole fucking thing. And like all three of these episodes basically with these guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
You know, meanwhile, Mizuki and Irika are still doing their shit. You know, like Mizuki's on his like I'm the coolest and strongest guy who's also been through like who's also the most like saddest and a guy who suffered the most shit, right? Like he's
literally. Fucking Mizuki goes like, you don't fucking get it. You can't understand all of the fucking trauma I've gone through. To fucking Irika, who when like fucking Mizuki was a kid, Irika was like, oh, I'm sad, but like, fucking just because this kid's parents died doesn't mean he's the only one. Just doesn't mean he deserves to be happy. Doesn't
right, like
I like seeing him suffer. Like, and then now Mizuki's like, nobody has suffered as much as I.
right, like and like maybe she's not remembered. Like maybe like because she knows like back in that first episode, like Mizuki had like a real beef with Naruto. Like, did his parents also die in like the Nine-Tailed Fox stuff? Like, did that come up?
It doesn't know. It doesn't matter. The only problems this guy had is that like nobody liked it when he strangled that man.
Okay, so the only mention of parents on she figured she's breaking her rare don't look at a wiki during the podcast thing, but the only mention of parents on Mizuki's wiki page is how happy he was to see Irika be sad about his parents being dead. So.
Yay!
So yeah,
oh god.
You know, Mizuki is on his like he's talking about like yeah how like fucking terrible being in jail was for him, but also how much it made him like strong and powerful to go through that, and that makes him real shinobi. And like I think she thinks it's around here where like Irika starts being like, hey, no, it's okay, you can just like if you just you know if you just give up this shit you're doing and like you know maybe and you know repent for your crimes, things will be all right. But she's not really sure there's any like reason to believe that's the case. Like she doesn't think there's a precedent for that, really.
No.
Like she can't think of any characters in Naruto except for like Sasuke at the end of it. Like, you know, that's a special case. Who are like in the position of like, oh yeah, this guy like betrayed the Leaf and now like everything's cool and they just get to hang out, right?
Yeah.
Right, like there's no like Irika doesn't have anything to offer to Mizuki here except like maybe you should learn to like being in jail. Which makes it really hard to be like invested in Irika as a character who has like any sort of like thematic or like moral upper hand here.
Yeah. Good show.
Because like when fucking okay, like like realistically speaking, like if we're going to like look at like you know previous anime original arcs, like you know we can't necessarily try to like use those to like construct like a cohesive understanding of the world of Naruto, because like if this arc has shown anything, there's maybe not like a super clear like unified vision for what's going on here. Mm-hmm. But like if we do like allow ourselves to like look back a little bit to like the land of Tea arc, right? With the race, like fucking Ibiki committed to himself to a life of like pretending that his younger brother was dead, as like the only way for him to like avoid like consequences, right? And like that guy did way less shit than Mizuki, right? Like,
Yeah.
Like, no fucking way Mizuki's, like, got anything other than, like... I mean, like, you know, going by how the leaf is often portrayed other times, like, there's no fucking way that guy's got anything other than being executed in front of him. But, like, in the context of this arc, it's like, yeah, all he has is going back to jail forever. And Eureka's just like, well, maybe you should do that.
Okay, to be fair, if the events of these next couple episodes didn't pan out the way they did, the Orochimaru connection definitely puts him on the track for execution in its mind. But also the show isn't doing that.
Yeah. But anyway, Mizuki does get a pretty funny trick in here where he's like doing his like, yeah, I can move so stealthily in the darkness, and then like Eureka's like, okay, I'm gonna hone my senses to focus in as clearly as I possibly can, and like, you know, he's like he's like listening for every possible sound he can. He can like even hear like mice like moving around in the building, and then it turns out Mizuki just like fucked off and like filled the building full of bombs and blew it up.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty funny.
It is pretty good. Yeah, so that's a series wrap on Aruka.
Yeah, he exploded and died in this episode. Weird, but like, you know, I guess it's good that they can go kind of bold with this stretch of the anime. Okay, do you want to move on from this episode?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Episode 146. Orochimaru's Shadow. Iruka survived the explosion and Mizuki's ex shows up to heal his wounds. Iruka introduces her to Naruto as Tsubaki. She is sorry for Mizuki's shit and wants to help bring him in. She says she knows where he is heading. Mizuki steals a bunch of stuff from a Nara clan research compound. Tsunade hears about the Tummy Boys, and the kids have committed to just holding them there until they get back up.
Okay, so this episode at the very least stands out in this arc, right? Like, in the previous arc we talked about Masahiko Murata's episode where he was doing the kind of like haunted house thing with Orochimaru's like secret base. And that was pretty fun. This one maybe doesn't have like as clear of like a vision throughout it, but like it's really on some bullshit in terms of like how it's framing everything, right? Like this episode starts out and it's like immediately like, oh, welcome to the fucking world of like gray and red, right? Like all the fucking like colors in the environments are like super washed out except for like the characters and like the like bright red sky. There's all of these like really like really like striking like really like oppressively framed shots as like Naruto's like wandering through the like rubble of this building that just exploded to find out if Iruka is still alive. It like looks really cool. Like even if the actual contents of this episode are kind of you know, more of this arc, there's like a in terms of the visuals at least there's a vision here, and like I have to respect that, and I have to like, you know, cling to that during times like this when the show is bad. Like, you know, there's like a clear carrying forward like a lot of the ideas from like the previous episode that Murata had, where like, you know, a lot of that sense of like, you know, how like shadows are used to set up the frame. Like there's like a little bit more like angular like turns in like the construction of the shadows over the planes of the characters rather than like really like straightforward lines that were kind of like intersecting across like my character before. But like, you know, it's like very much like of a piece with that stuff, and you know. Yeah, I just want to shout that out because I think a lot of this stuff like looks really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if that's all I can really say for it. Or like I guess that's not all I can really say for it, because I also think there's like some really fun like even in like the really like intense oppressive framing, a lot of things I think there's some really like fun playful bits, right? Like there's the bit right at the start of this episode where Naruto and Pakun are like watching on like Iruka and Tsubaki talk to each other, and like Pakun's like, oh yeah, that's totally that's totally Iruka's girlfriend. And he's like trying to communicate it by like doing a gesture with his little puppy paws that Naruto can't parse, and like the shot is framed and like it's like vaguely first person from like Naruto, and it's just like Pakun's like paw being imposed over this like really gloomy shot of like you know, Iruka and Tsubaki in the distance as like this fucking boy and this dog are just like saying goofy shit to each other, right? Like there's
yeah,
it's fun stuff.
It is fun.
So Tsubaki's talking about like Mizuki like stopped by her place, and like she like wanted to try and like stop him, like wanted to keep him from like going forward with his new evil plans, but she like wasn't able to like try hard enough, right? And then like we get like a flashback to like that scene from like a previous episode, which like in like a break from a lot of like the Murata episodes, where like I feel like a lot of the time he like completely redoes like flashbacks in like a style more in keeping with like the specific episode that he's making right now. Doesn't happen here. I don't know if that's like a logistical thing or like what, but it definitely sort of winds up undercutting a lot of what Tsubaki is saying, because like again in that scene she just cried and then got punched and instantly knocked out, right? Which is, you know, maybe the limits of what a girl is capable of in this show sometimes. But like it's really weird to have her talk about like talking about like, oh yeah, I like I was holding myself back, when it's like that's just not what the visuals are showing to us here. And Yurika's like, well, we can't bring you with us, so just slow you down. And she's like, no, I know all about like Mizuki's like tricks and stuff. Like I can help you catch up to him. And like that doesn't really like pan out really in these episodes.
Yeah, like not really, but what she does do is just tell him exactly where to go.
Yeah, that helps. That helps. We get the like we get like another like scene of like Mizuki like breaking into the Naruto research lab, which again I really like how the scene looks, where it's just like constantly using the like framing shots through like, you know, different like rows of beakers and like research equipment and like the like kind of like a gloomy low lighting of this like of the specific building, right? Like it's a very like striking scene. Again, like it's there's not like a ton to like dig into in terms of what's happening here, right? Like Mizuki's just like showing up and he's like beating up some randos and he's taking fucking chemicals for his like mysterious plan they're not like telling us about. But like repeatedly like stressed like it must be like really dangerous and evil and scary. You know, while Tsubaki and everybody are on the way to like where Mizuki is headed, she's talking with Naruto and Yurika about like, yeah, actually back before like Mizuki was doing his first like betrayal, I knew all about it. And the things she says are like really fucking funny to me, because she's basically like, yeah, he didn't actually like take that scroll for like any specific reason. Like he didn't know that Orochimaru wanted it or anything. He just like hoped that Orochimaru would think it was nice that he took this for him.
That is beautiful.
Just like a nice gift.
That is wonderful. And like, to be fair, like there are two possibilities there. Orochimaru receives it and is like, sick, so new jutsu I don't know. Or Orochimaru sees it and just like, yeah, I learned all those jutsu before I left the leaf, dipshit. Right?
And she's like, yeah, I mean, like, I knew he was planning to do this, but I was hoping my, like, fucking terrible sicko boyfriend would, like, do something evil for no reason. Which is a poor gamble to make in the face of everything we know about him.
Yeah.
Tsunade is, like, in the leaf getting, like, more reports in the, like in her big office. And it's still really committing in these scenes, like, the really, like, stark, like, you know, gray environments, red sky framing of a lot of stuff. There's something like super ominous going on in these scenes, but I feel like some of the visual gimmicks are like being like stretched a little bit beyond what the actual like thing they're trying to convey is, right? Like, but like, you know, it's still like kind of fun to look at. It's still like, you know, it's still like breaking things up a little bit in terms of like the visuals of this episode, which is like, you know, it's like a fucking oasis for me here. The other thing like this thing that like kind of plays into like the sort of like playful thing that happens with this episode frame sometimes, like it's still like really leaning to like very like characters like framed from like a big distance, like really like dwarfed by the environment, you know, like that specific style of like
yeah,
you know, like they're all like just like
wow.
And it's like a lot of the shots of Tsunade in her office are just like very much a piece of that, like the desk like really far away, seeming like fucking tiny in the big room with like red sky bleeding into the windows, right? But like they still like want to show her like paging through a book at her desk and make that motion like legible from a distance. So she just like pulls out the biggest fucking book in the world and has to do these like huge like sweeping motions every time she turns a page.
Yay!
It's really fucking funny.
That is how Aster reads every book.
Yeah. The last thing that happens in this half of the episode is we get like a little bit of a check-in on like Shikamaru and Ino and Choji. I think the beautiful thing about this scene is that it seems like by far the scene that Murata gives the least of a shit about, because there's like no stylistic flair here at all. It just looks like a normal episode of Naruto. Right, like there's like none of the fun lighting he does in the rest of the episode. It's just like, yeah, this looks regular. Fucking yeah, I don't know. Choji's got the two tummy boys in his arms and they're like wiggling a lot.
They wiggle so much.
It's fucking ridiculous looking. It's beautiful. And then they're like, as this half the episode ends, they're like they're like talking vaguely amongst themselves, and be like, all right, yeah, we know what we have to do next. Yeah, we're committing to doing that thing. And then like the episode fades out. We'll get back to that, but not this episode.
Mizuki remembers being approached by Orochimaru, who thought it was funny when he strangled his buddy. Orochimaru gives him a tattoo that teaches him about a potion he can make. Mizuki makes it to an abandoned Orochimaru lab where he can make the potion. Naruto, Iruka, and Tsubaki catch up to the secret compound while Mizuki mixes the potion. Mizuki drinks the potion and grows big muscles and curse mark tiger stripes. It loves the way Orochimaru treats Mizuki.
It's so fucking funny. It's so like every joke we've ever made about like Orochimaru just like looking at some shit and being like, yeah, I could do something funny with this. It's like just completely on the fucking screen here.
It's so fucking good.
Like he just fucking like slides out of a tree where he was like watching Mizuki strangle a man for some reason. He's like, "Why'd you do that, lol? That was crazy."
Why'd you do that, lol? That was crazy. Anyway, here's this potion.
Hey, I'm gonna have a snake bite you and like give you a piece of paper, and that together will give you information about how to make a potion. You figure out what to do with that. It just fucks off.
Oh my god. And like, okay, it is not going to be a very big surprise when the potion is bad for you, right, everybody?
Right.
So we can just talk about that a little bit now. It is so fucking funny.
It's so fucking funny. That means she doesn't know if this is the thing that it was going for. But, like, when Mizuki goes to the fucking, like, secret Orochimaru lab in the fucking, like, scary cave, and he, like, fucking goes into this room that has, like, this big fucking mechanism for, like, mixing, like, a bad potion that hurts you, and, like, nothing else, and also has, like, a big fucking shuriken on the wall like Mizuki likes, just for him.
Orochimaru, you funny bitch.
It's unbelievable.
Oh my god.
He gets nothing out of this other than knowing that, like, eventually this guy might break out of jail and, like, ruin his own life.
Oh god. It loves that so much. Do you think Orochimaru has, like, a secret camera set up in there?
Maybe. Oh god.
Like, Kabuto shows up afterwards, and he's like, "Hey, Orochimaru, check this out."
Check this out.
And he plays back the recording, and like, there's the Naruto, and like, there's also footage of like the Naruto confrontation outside. It's just like they're just both cracking up.
Yeah.
They're just both sicko cackling.
Hey everybody. Mel's power went out in the middle of recording, so this is a couple days later. Sorry if there's like an abrupt like tone shift, or like maybe we like repeat stuff we have said already. That's just kind of how it has to happen.
Yeah, it's like a tragic, unavoidable circumstance. But like, she's like pretty confident we can get back into it without too much trouble. Again, like she remembers where we were more or less. We were like about to like change topics to like a different thing that she wanted to talk about the episode. So like hopefully in the grand scheme of things that's work out all right. But just a heads up. If this one's weird, now you know why.
Yeah. Okay. What were we talking about?
Okay, so like when its power went out last night, she's pretty sure we were talking about like the whole thing with the special funny like cave lab that Orochimaru left for Mizuki. Extremely funny thing to do. And the thing she wanted to move on from there was like, after like Mizuki's like doing his whole like fucking elaborate setup of like pouring the like liquids into the rectangles to have them like fucking trickle on down and form the sinister potion for him. We cut over to Naruto and Tsubaki and Iruka, who are like headed on their way towards the lab where Mizuki is doing his shit. Tsubaki has this exchange with Naruto that is like fascinating to her, and how like raises a lot of questions about why they chose to tell this story exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like, hey, Naruto, like, this must be, like, a real weird thing for you, right? Because this guy, like, tried to, like, get you, like, killed for, like, being, like, a traitor to the leaf or whatever, right? Like, you probably have, like, all sorts of complicated feelings about this. And Naruto just looks directly at her and goes, no, I don't care about Mizuki anymore. I'm over it. Like, it just doesn't matter to me.
Uh-huh. Good.
And she just thinks if you're going to bring a guy back, right? Like, if you're going to, like, specifically make the pull for this guy to return, like, maybe that should mean something to the characters. Maybe you should...
No.
Okay, never mind.
No, it's better if it doesn't matter at all.
It's better if it doesn't matter to anybody, right? And Naruto's only interest is something we already know can't happen.
Yeah.
Because it's just weird. It's just a weird choice that they, like, commit to so, like, confidently.
It's pretty strong, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Is
it's a very, like, good, powerful, stylistic decision.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
You should always have the characters tell the audience that they don't care about the story that's happening.
Yeah. That's how to get people really invested.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, you know, they're like trying to, like, you know, as Naruto catches up to them, they're like trying to, like, you know, make some connection, or like, oh, maybe this will matter, right? So, like, when fucking Mizuki drinks his potion, and he gets, like, his, like, stripes and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Naruto's like, oh shit, is this just like the curse mark? Which, like, you know, it's not really, but, like,
No,
you know,
it's no.
but, like, maybe he's got that confusion, but, like, it's just like this weird time to, like, suddenly rebuild, like, some sort of emotional investment for Naruto immediately after they, like, smashed it with a big hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other thing she really has to say about this episode is that she's just, like, when she was watching it for the first time, she was, like, stopped dead in her tracks by the fucking puppy boy noises that Shinichiro Miki makes as Mizuki at the end of this episode. He's doing the fucking growlies and the and it's like, what happened here? What happened to the fucking voice studio? Who told him to do this? But, like, she knows what I'm doing. Like, it knows what she's talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But, like, that's her wrapped up on episode 146.
Yeah. Ready to move on?
She is.
Yay. Episode 147. The Clash of Fate. You Can't Bring Me Down. Mizuki is faster and stronger from the potion. Naruto tries to fight him, but he is too strong and fast. Iruka steps in to get beat up too. Mizuki throws a big shuriken, but this time Naruto is the one that blocks it with his back. Mizuki turns into a kitty man with bigger muscles than before.
Okay. Yeah, so, you know, this episode starts with, like, you know, as Mizuki is, like, going around being so fast and strong. Like, you know, Tsubaki and Iruka are, like, making some last-ditch attempts to, like, reach out to him to try and, like, convince him to, like, you know, stop being a sicko and, like, be normal or whatever, right? And it's just, like, you know, she talked a little bit before about how, like, nobody has, like, anything to offer Mizuki other than go back to be in jail forever.
Uh-huh.
And, like, maybe he should just like that. But, like, when she was watching this episode, like, it really kind of, like, coalesced into this feeling of, like, this stuff is also weird to latch onto because, again, like, they constantly go out of their way to make it so that Mizuki is just, like, a terrible sicko who has, like everything that, like, Iruka and Tsubaki are, like, trying to connect to, like, never fucking existed in the episode. Like, the arc is, like, very, like, fucking, like, pointed about that, right? Like, he's never, like, actually nice ever in, like, any of the flashbacks.
Yeah.
And he never has, like, any, like, he doesn't do anything that isn't sicko shit, right? And so, like, like, while they're, like, vaguely trying to paint this picture of this guy who's been, like, led astray by, like, Orochimaru, they're also, like, weirdly constructing the situation where, like, the only, like, real sympathetic, like, read you could, like, have for Mizuki at this point is, like, born in this moment where, like, he's this guy who, like, broke out of jail and the only options he has are, like, you know, go back to jail forever and learn to like it, or, like, you know, try it and, like, commit himself to Orochimaru, and, like, we the audience know that, like, Orochimaru just fucking throws dudes away like nothing.
Yeah.
right? Like now suddenly the position he's in is like sort of like almost a little tragic,
Mm-hmm.
but like not in a way that the show realizes, right? Not in a way that they're like doing anything with, right?
Yeah, right. Like the show isn't acknowledging this. I mean, besides the way that the show acknowledges that Orochimaru just like fucks with people, like including him, right? Like,
Right, yeah. But like like the thing it's doing is like, oh, he should like try and like recommit to the Leaf instead of like commit to Orochimaru because Orochimaru doesn't care about him. But like the Leaf is just gonna put him in jail forever, right? Like he's just
yeah, right. And
like
that is even in the like incredibly generous read of the Leaf that we get in this anime original.
Right, yeah, yeah. So it's like it's just really frustrating, right? It's just like it's just like it feels like it's actively against like anything interesting they could do here, and like she doesn't like this arc very much. She's really not thrilled with it, right?
No.
Like similarly, like the action here is like it's not very interesting, right? Like you know, like a guy who is like fast and strong is like she guesses you could like frame a fight around it, but like there's not like a like he's just fast and strong now, right? Like he doesn't have like a
It's not like he has a cool trick power.
right. Yeah, exactly. It's weird how it's weird how resistant this arc is to giving like any of the like villains in it like a cool trick power. They're just like strong guys, and like there's no
Right,
well, like when it comes down to it, right? Like you know the
even the previous one had a bag of spiders.
right, like a bag of spiders, a fucking dangerous shape to put Naruto in, right? Like you know, there's,
Yeah.
they're not. It's not like thrilling stuff, but like
But it's like anything besides just like bigger and stronger man.
yeah, yeah. And so like there's no like excuse me, like there's no real like investment on her part in terms of like oh how is Naruto going to do this, right? Because like I don't know, like, there's not like an interesting question posed. It's just like there's a big strong guy, and then like eventually like he has to get like overpowered because of the like you know the structure of the show, right? There's no like there's no like questions that are being raised between there, and there's no like you know like it's not like it's like a monster of the week show where like every time you see them get hit by the big attack and like the like ultimately the monster's there for like scaffolding for like the like episode character plot or whatever, right? It's just like it's just not really doing anything, and so that's not great, right?
Huh.
Also, the tiger man he turns into looks like shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it needs it to be like understood. It needs it to be clear that like this looks bad.
Yeah, right. I mean, like the human face, the unchanged human face, is one of the biggest problems here.
Mhm.
But like it's just not it's not ideal.
Not ideal.
She thinks that there's a lot of people who are very like practiced in designing big tiger men that could have been turned to in times like this.
Mhm. At least give him like a kitty nose, right? Like that is bare
Right.
minimum.
Uh-huh.
Like the human nose is awful,
The human nose is so bad here.
right? And like he could have been like a white tiger to like match his hair, right? That would have
Yeah.
been cool.
Yeah. Yeah, they could have yeah, no, there's there's a lot of things they could have done that they didn't do. Her last big thing she wants to touch on with this half of the episode is like there's this sudden swerve in terms of what the arc is about after he drinks his evil potion,
Uh-huh.
where Irika is now like that evil potion you drank isn't your strength. That's not real strength. Real power comes from like working really hard, like Naruto did. You know, Naruto like worked really hard the entire time you were in jail to get stronger. Now he surpassed you. Meanwhile, you're just relying on the evil potion, which is like
Shut up.
yeah, right. Like it's like some fucking like children's cartoon like moralizing shit, but like it doesn't hold up within the context of this world, right? Like fucking like the Yakamichi clan are out there. They've got their fucking special food pills, right? Like there's all
Yeah.
kinds of people who have like a like powerful like limited time form that like you know maybe comes with like a price or whatever, right? And like the other thing is that like explicitly, repeatedly stated in this arc is that Mizuki spent the entire time that he was in jail working really hard to become stronger.
Yeah, he's yoked now. Like
Right?
like before the potion, he was jacked Mizuki.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right? Like fucking like, realistically speaking, just by virtue of like Mizuki being in lava prison where there's fuck all to do, he probably spent like more time like just like proportionally like training and getting stronger than Naruto did, right? Like
Yeah, it could be argued that Naruto's only strength comes from the fact that he has the fucking nine-tailed fox in him, frankly.
right.
Right? And that is not something that, like, the show ever, like, moralizes about against him.
Yeah, like the specific like the like trying to ground it in this like you have to like work hard on your own terms and like get something that's like specifically yours. You can't rely on anything external. It's just like that's just not what the show that like we're watching is. Like it's just the it just doesn't hold water.
It just doesn't hold water, not in this show. Not in fucking not in fucking like, oh yeah, like the two main strong boys are strong because of Demon Fox possession and like curse mark from evil guy.
Yeah, and also his like special like eye that he inherited from his family,
Yeah.
right? And like how like the fact that basically everybody who's like anybody in fucking the Hidden Leaf has some sort of like family lineage of like techniques that's being like passed down to them, right? Like there's like there's no mind given to like if like the moral that they're suddenly injecting into this story is consistent with the world that they've like it's just so out of place and it's like I don't know. It's just like this is the thing that Erika's bringing to the table, and like meanwhile, Mizuki is like yelling about how like the leaf just fucking like uses people up and discards them, and how like he needs to go to like Orochimaru who will like treat him nice instead of the leaf, right? And it's like,
oh honey, like you're not wrong, but also oh honey.
right, it's weird that the arc isn't about the like the tragedy suggested by that, right? Like it's weird that like at no point they try to tell a story about how like Mizuki felt like he was like, the only extent to which they ever try to like tell a story about like Mizuki like feeling like the leaf just like basically like took advantage of him and like the fucking like threw him away when it was convenient. It was like in the part where he talks about he's like mad because they don't think he's the best guy ever for killing one of his teammates for no reason.
Yeah.
It's just like and like so much of like the second half of this arc also like fucking like comes back to like this specific moral they suddenly inject here. Like, so much of the second half of this episode like comes down to like the like moral they like suddenly inject here, right? Like part of like the things like she's talked about already here were like like stuff from the second half of this episode that she's just like rolling into this one discussion, right? So it's like it just feels like they just like they just told the story wrong. They just told the wrong story here, and it's bad.
It's not very good.
It's a bad one.
You ready to just like move on and then talk about the rest of it all in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that then. Team 10 loses their grip on the Tummy Boys, but Tsunade shows up to let them know they can just go back to jail and get dinner. They go back to jail for dinner. Mizuki is stronger now, but also slower, so Iruka sets a trap and has Naruto lure him in. While Mizuki's stunned, Naruto hits him with the Rasengan. Mizuki's tiger form wears off and he looks all old and desiccated. Tsunade shows up to tell him the potion just does that, and also Orochimaru was probably just messing with him for a laugh. Sakura revives a fish with healing spells.
Right, so the fucking like Tummy Boy resolution sucks in like a million different fucking ways. Like first of all, like there's the obvious of like the last time we saw Team 10, they were like, all right, we know what we need to do next, and like what we get when they come back to them is them all being like, okay, we're at our limit, we're like letting these guys loose and they're gonna like beat us to death. There's the fact that like Tsunade has spent the whole arc just like sitting in a room like and like not really doing anything that like leads to any of the like plot being resolved. When like there were like several points where she had like the knowledge she would need to go and immediately fix it. And she also clearly has the ability to like immediately like fix this. Like in general, she's just like like Fujin and Raijin, the fucking Tummy Boys, are just like really like frustrating and like kind of like I don't know. She just feels like kind of gross about the whole thing of like here's the like here's the dumb guys who are too strong for their own good, so we need to keep them in jail forever for everybody's safety.
It's not good. It's just
It's
not
not
good.
good, right? And like, especially in this weird way that it'll be like positioned opposite of Mizuki of like, oh, here's the guys who like will just go back to jail and be fine with it because like she doesn't know they like know it's what's best for them ultimately or whatever, right? Like it's just like what are we fucking doing here? Like what?
Yeah, what is supposed to be the takeaway there, right? Like,
Why is this the fucking story we spent 6 episodes telling? Like the moral is like don't do steroids, and if you go to jail, like you deserved it, so just do your best in there.
uh-huh.
Great story, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, good one. Thanks, everybody. God damn.
Meanwhile, like Naruto is like fighting Mizuki a little bit more. Naruto's like, hey, if you're like looking for Orochimaru in like the land of sound base, he actually like left there, and like Mizuki's just like, no,
No.
he wouldn't do that. We're cool. And then just like fucking like stomps him into the ground. He's like repeatedly like stomping in Naruto's chest and talking about how like yeah this is he's like showing him how much he like suffered in jail, right? Which is like again like I don't doubt that being in fucking evil lava prison was like a bad experience because being in any prison seems like frankly like a nightmare experience, you know?
Yeah, it sounds bad.
So like again like this is like the fact that everybody is just trying to like offer like the fact that everybody's trying to like offer Mizuki this life of like, oh yeah, you just have to atone for your crimes and it'll be fine, is like, you know, like I don't know, she feels like she's just like circling around the same points over and over again, but like she just doesn't like how much this is a story about how Mizuki was in the wrong for not liking being in jail.
Yeah. Yeah. Woof.
Anyway, they fucking like put him in like a seal's trap and he can't move, and Naruto hits him with Rasengan and he like gets knocked out immediately because like nobody in this arc is like a big enough threat to like actually take a Rasengan and not be like immediately fucking like chunked out, right? Like they had to spend the entire like 6 episodes preventing Naruto from hitting anybody once. Like when like when all 3 of the villains in this arc go down in like one hit after 6 episodes, it just doesn't.
It's just bad. It's just not good.
It doesn't make her feel better about the way she spent her time watching these 6 episodes of anime.
No.
Because it's not like playing in that space like, oh, we have to like buy time to like let this thing happen, right? It's just like we have contrived to like avoid resolving the plot until the plot is over.
They should have just put more in it. They should have just wrote it good.
They should have just wrote it good. They should have just like she doesn't know, right? Like it's just not like ideal to her. Mizuki turns old.
Yeah, Mizuki drank the potion that turns you old.
Yeah. God. He's like he's in disbelief that Orochimaru's sinister potion would turn him old instead of give him like an extreme body forever.
Can we talk about the implication of Mizuki turning old and then being healed and being told that like he'll be fucking weak and frail forever, but he's also going back to prison because
yeah, it's like
like worse than if he just died there, right?
Right.
Like that is so fucking scary.
Yeah, like he this is just his life forever. He like his body is like, you know, fucking desiccated. Like he's not like he's never recovering from this. Orochimaru thinks it's really funny that this happened. Like Tsunade specifically is like, damn, I bet he's laughing his ass off right now. And they're just like, but don't worry, we'll heal you and put you back in your fucking lava prison cell. There's definitely like a strain of like, you know, trying to like create a story where the heroes don't kill, and like the thing they do instead of killing is putting somebody in jail forever.
Right, but it's fucking Naruto. Like we are past the point of like, oh, these people don't kill.
Right. Yeah. Like for like again, like not consistent with the world that's being presented. And also like again, like she's not like advocating for like the death penalty, obviously, but like it's just it's just like the ideological construction of like putting somebody in jail forever as like a merciful act is like just so fucking noxious to her.
Yeah. Right, and like the thing that we are saying is that it's like incongruous with what the leaf. It is out of character for the leaf to do.
Right, like fucking the first like big arc is like, oh yeah, we learn about how if you betray the village, you will be hunted down and killed, right? Like you'll be hunted down for the rest of your life, and like kill, like you will be like killed, you will be like brought back to the leaf to like have your body fucking dissected for study, and that's like
Yeah.
there's like a particularly grim read we can construct of this where we're like, oh yeah, maybe they'll like keep Mizuki around to like study what the fucking evil potion did to him, right? If we like wanted to like just sort of like run with the like things we like know about the world outside of the fucking like Looney Tunes context of this arc.
Yeah, right. But like, if we want to go that far, then also like, what the hell was Orochimaru doing wrong?
God,
Right? Like, keeping somebody alive to be a test subject is like way more severe than just like killing your dissidents, right? Like,
right? No, absolutely. Like that's like what the fucking villain says when they're like is like talking about their saying is gonna like give somebody a fate worse than death or whatever, right? Like it's just
yeah,
it's just like the vibes are bad. The vibes are bad, and like the rest of this episode is basically just like putting like a bow on things like very rapidly, right? Like oh yeah, don't worry, Shizune is fine. We're not gonna show you her again, but like she's okay. Tsubaki is like, wow, I've been inspired by this experience to like pay for my own crimes and then like move forward to like for the benefit of the leaf, and like we don't really get any like sense of what that means. Like maybe she also has to go to fucking jail for however long. I think that the other thing is like fucking like crazy about this actor is that like this was in the episode before this one, but there's a bit where like Tsunai's getting a report about like, yeah, everybody who broke out of jail is been recovered and brought back except for Mizuki and Fujin and Raijin. Like these were the fucking heavy hitters in there. The scale of these arc is just so uncompelling, even in the like conservative construction of the dangerous jailbreak, right? Like it's just
yeah.
it's just it's no good.
This just wasn't a very good anime original arc.
Yeah, she hopes they make a good one eventually, right? Because
it also hopes they make a good one.
We had that last one that we had a lot. We documented our complaints. There was like some maybe there's like some alright stuff in there, right? But like
yeah,
on the whole, kind of uncompelling. And this was just like a severe step down in like pretty much every way. So hopefully they'll shake this off and like maybe find their footing a little bit better, because right now it's like, oh, we've got like 80 episodes of this, huh?
Yeah.
All right, is there anything else you want to say about this episode?
Not really. What are we watching next week?
Next week, we are watching... What's the fucking movie called? Naruto the Movie 2, Legend of the Stone of Galal.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, it's fucking movie time. At the very least, if that's like some inconsequential shit that doesn't matter, it's going to look better than this did on average, so...
Yeah. And hey, if you can't wait, you can check out our Patreon. Patreon.com/Konoha Crush. All one word, Konoha Crush. For just $3 a month, you get access to episodes up to a week early. And for $5, you get access to our bonus show, Narukai Uzumaki. This month we covered... Bofuri?
Yeah, Bofuri.
Bofuri. Yeah, and the next one that we're gonna do is Grimgar.
Mm-hmm. And like, hopefully next month for real, we'll start the polls back up.
Yeah, it's gonna be honest. We just kind of forgot this time.
Yeah, we don't have like a reason about things being like especially hectic. She was about to like spin something up, but it wouldn't have been honest. We just forgot this time, and like we don't want to like set up a poll and like have to wait for the results when like we could potentially like we just want to start preparing early, right?
Yeah, and like Grimgar is one that like Mel is excited to cover at least.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't know enough about it to like really say either way, but like if Mel thinks it's like a worthwhile thing to talk about, then like she's excited to have that conversation.
While we're still on the Patreon, I want to thank our joining tier patrons: Izzy, Maple, the only ninja with a gun, in front of the show Rife. Check out their streams at twitch.tv/subspaceskater. All one word, subspace skater. Any images we talk about during the show can be found in our Twitter.
twitter.com/KonohaCrush. We have a Tumblr now too, konahacrushcast.tumblr.com. We both stream on Twitch also. You can find Mel at twitch.tv/GuinevereTeef, GUINEVERETEEF.
And you can find Aster at twitch.tv/verdictvelvet.
Yeah. Mel likes to stream Zelda games. It finished Twilight Princess a little bit ago, and now it is working through the Minish Cap. It also streams Monster Hunter with Aster on Fridays. So come and hang out if you like our chemistry.
This one tends to stream, like, I mean, right now she's like has a big like Fire Emblem project where she's playing all those games in order. She's like got another like stream she does like most weeks ideally, where she goes through various games that have been in her backlog for a while. She's playing through Chrono Trigger right now, and then also is on Mel's channel for Monster Hunter, and also like frankly most of those other streams too.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else that she wants to say?
No, she's pretty much covered it, she thinks.
All right. Well, that's it. Thank you everybody for listening, and remember, there is no such thing as filler.